Hare Krishna, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome you warmly to our third day of this module on building lasting relationships. I always feel very, very inspired and enthusiastic seeing all of your enthusiasm. Although we have a different timing today, but all of you have come in time and all ready to uh, learn what we are going to discuss today. So thank you so much for joining us today. Uh, so just let me share my screen. Okay. So I hope you all are able to see my screen. So just in continuation of what we were discussing, we were in the discussion that um, what are the three main things? What are the three building blocks of strong relationships? And today, the last topic that we are discussing is L. Now, any guesses? I mean, you won't get any points for that. It's pretty easy. What does L stand for? Yes, yes, yes. All of you are intelligent and well aware what's required in relationships. Yes, correct. All of you have the same word and it's pretty obvious. But there is a twist here. We all know and we have heard love, but we will see what love really is. Many of us, we have heard and we speak, and it's a very commonly used word these days. And people very readily say, I love you. Yes, we hear it a lot of times. And but many times, as Gaurgopal Prabhu many times says, that this love is the most, uh, what do you say, uh, misunderstood four-letter word in the world. People say love, but what actually it is, we have to understand, we have to know, we have to practice. So, what is your understanding of love? When you hear this word love, what do you feel? What is the understanding? What is love? Any quick answers? Loyalty, unexpected offering. Yes, wonderful. Surendra, thank you. Swarangi, thank you so much. Love is understanding, strong bonding. Yes, correct. Any other answers? Selfless. Awesome. Wonderful. Caring. Somya and Akanksha tell selfless. Very powerful and to the point. Caring. Yes. Freedom. Okay. Love is getting empathized with them. Yes. Empathy is something that we discussed yesterday. Yes. So all of you are very, very correct. And that's true. But many a times what happens, love is totally misunderstood. The feeling and the expression of the feeling is totally different. Why I'm telling this is when Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON, he went to the US to spread this message of Bhagavad Gita, the message of love of God. There, the youth of US that time were uh, in a movement, in a rebellion against the government, against their parents, against the society's rules. And they had a slogan of free love. And all that they did was they took drugs and they had illicit sex without any restriction. And they called it love. And many a times people confuse between both. So, what is love and what is lust is something important for us to discuss. There is a hell and heaven difference between lust and love, but many a times these two words are used synonymously, which is not true. So, to understand the stark difference between these, we will discuss wonderful stories from Ramayana, first thing, and we'll see the characteristics or the features of lust and love and how both are different. And finally, we'll go to our things to do slide, which will help us fight with the enemy of lust and to practice love in our lives. So that's the program today, and that's not all, because we have a guest speaker today who will be joining us towards the end of today's session, and I'll introduce him to you in a short while before we hand over to him. So let's begin. Now that you can see in the screen, to distinguish between lust and love, we have two personalities on both ends. One is Ravana from Ramayana, and one is Lord Ram and his associates from Ramayana. And for those of you who have heard and learned and seen and read Ramayana, you know the stark differences. I'm just highlighting and reiterating what you already know, with this point in mind, to differentiate between lust and love. Now, Ravana is a very particular and typical case of a victim of lust, or a personification of lust. Yes. So when I say lust, my dear friends, it let's not limit our thinking to the understanding that lust means just enjoying sex life. Lust in general means the desire for sense gratification, selfish enjoyment. That is actually lust. It is said in the Shastras, Atmendriya Pritivancha Tare Boli Kam, Krishnendriya Pritivancha Hare Premadhan. So the basic difference is Atma Indriya. Atma Indriya means satisfying one's own senses. That is called lust. The person does not care what is going on in the world. His personal sense enjoyment is the main goal and purpose and focus in one's life. And that is very wonderfully depicted by this personality called Ravana. So you all know the story how Ravana, when he performed his tapasya for 10,000 years, and then he started chopping off his heads. He had 10 heads. So he started chopping off his heads to satisfy Lord Brahma. And Lord Brahma had to oblige, for he was doing such tapasya. So Lord Brahma came and blessed him that he can't be killed by all the various species of demons and demigods and Chan and Kinnaras and Gandharvas, all powerful people. But Ravana did not ask, that I should not get killed by human beings. That was very uh, far less than his dignity. So he did not include the humans in his list. So later Ram came as a human. But yeah, when Ravana received the benediction and powers from Lord Brahma, he went on around the planets, usurping and catching and snatching and grabbing people's resources. He attacked the Devatas, the heavenly planets, and he took away, he killed many Devatas, he threw them away from the heaven, he declared himself the possessor of the heavenly gardens. Yes. And his own brother Kuvera, who was the treasurer of the Devatas, Kuvera used to reside in Lanka. And Lanka was a very opulent place. It was the city of gold, palaces made of gold and all decorations, lot of riches in Lanka. And there's where Kuver used to stay. Kuver is a very rich person and he's the treasurer of all the demigods. So once Ravana got the chance, he came directly to Lanka and he defeated Kuvera in a fight and threw him away of Lanka. When Kuvera had a beautiful airplane of his own, Pushpaka Vimana, and he was going by that, and Ravana stopped him, wait, what, you're taking this airplane and going? Give it to me. And he snatched the airplane also from Kuvera and let him walk away. So Ravana took the whole city of Lanka and made it his capital city. He had his palace there made of gold. And there he used to stay. And when he was traveling around all the universe, he used to just, destroy people's properties, snatch people's gold, snatch people's wives, molest people's wife, and disrespect women enjoy them, and that's why he was cursed. He was once he violated the chastity of a wife of a Gandharva. And Ravana was very powerful, so the Gandharva could not do much, but he cursed him that after this, if you force yourself on another woman, your head will blast and you will die. So that's why Ravana, because of his lust, because of his desire to enjoy selfishly, he traveled throughout the universe enjoying his own senses. And that fetched him curses in return. So Ravana had all the riches, all the wealth that a person could imagine. And when he was traveling to all these places, he captured and kidnapped many, many women for his own enjoyment. And he had his own beautiful wife. But he was still not satisfied. Yes. And what happened in Ramayana, you all know the story. The main trouble started when Surpanaka came to the forest and saw Lord Ram. So Surpanaka was a demoness and she was the sister of Ravana. Not much better than him. She was also very, very lusty. So when she saw Ram, she had the desire to enjoy with him. Yes. And from there, all the trouble starts. That Surpanaka wanted to enjoy with Lord Ram, and she could not tolerate that Sita, Mother Sita, was there as his wife. Yes, and she very lustily approached Lord Ram. And Lord Ram, we know how Lord Ram had taken the vow of never even looking at any other woman, what to speak of marrying. So he was fully dedicated to his wife, Mother Sita. And he jokingly said, Lakshmana is there, he doesn't have his wife here, you can get married to him. But the Surpanaka attacked Mother Sita out of envy. And then Lakshmana had to cut off her nose. Now the Surpanaka goes back to her kingdom and meets her brothers, Ravana and others. And then what happens is, yes, there are many demons, Rakshasa armies who come to finish Ram, but Ram finishes everybody very easily. And then when Surpanaka sees that Ram is very powerful, so what to do? There should be another way. So Surpanaka goes to Ravana and gives him the idea. So Surpanaka sees that Ravana is not, although Ravana sees that Ram is very powerful and he has defeated many people from his army, many of his brothers were killed trying to take revenge for Surpanaka's nose being cut. But still, Ravana did not want to react immediately. Actually, when Ravana first went to Marichi to make the plot of kidnapping Sita, Marich told, see, don't act like that. You have your wives, you have your kingdom, you enjoy your own life with your own family. Let Lord Ram stay there. He is a very powerful person. Do not engage in a war with him. You will be finished. And why to kidnap other person's wife? It is very sinful. Why to do that? And that time Ravana had somehow got convinced and he came back. But then this Surpanaka knew how to influence her brother Ravana. She started very lustily explaining how Mother Sita looks to incite those desires in Ravana. And Ravana fell in that trap. He got influenced and his heart reeled with the thoughts of Sita and he wanted to enjoy with Sita. And with those thoughts he went. And we know what happens after that. Even though he sees many of his soldiers getting killed, he sees he's going nowhere. Vibhishan tells him so many times that this was a very bad idea. You have kidnapped, even after kidnapping Mother Sita, Vibhishan tells, what is this that you're doing? Give back Sita, otherwise your whole kingdom will be finished. What to speak of all the riches that you have accumulated? The whole Vamsha of Rakshasas would get finished because of the offense to Lord Ram. So return back Sita, but he does not. Because of his desire to enjoy his senses, he fails to do the right thing. He is bewildered, disillusioned. What to speak of Bibhishan? Bibhishan was a devotee, he was a good guy in Ramayana. But later, even during the war, when the war started with Ram and all the monkey soldiers, when they woke up Kumbhakarna, the brother of Ravana, who was also a demon, when Kumbhakarna was woken up and he heard what had happened because he keeps sleeping 6 months for a long time. So he woke up and heard what had happened, and he also rebuked Ravana. What have you done? Why have you done this? Still, there is time. Return Mother Sita. But Ravana did not listen. And that's how it led to the devastation that came to Lanka. And Ravana was ultimately finished. Very opposite to this word lust is love. And we see all the characters, uh, the associates of Lord Ram, demonstrate this quality, this feeling of love so explicitly that in our modern day life, it sometimes becomes very difficult also to even understand what that love is. We see it is easy to have deep loving feelings between husband and wife, but brothers, it's not that straightforward because what to speak of modern day, brothers are always fighting with each other on property and different things. Brothers don't stay together. Brothers just they stay with different families mainly, and many a times there are fights for property, for fights for taking care of parents, and all kinds of scenarios we know. But here we see in Ramayana, Lakshmana showing such a wonderful quality of selfless service to Lord Ram, and that is love. Love means selfless service, as many of you wrote correctly. Lakshmana had no obligation that he had to go to the forest with Lord Ram, but he considered it, I mean, he considered his life to be useless if he is not constantly serving his brother Lord Ram. And Lakshman, although he was married, he had his wife Urmila, uh, but still he accompanied Lord Ram and Mother Sita. He said, "Oh, you both in forest, how would you survive? Who would make your huts? Who would go gather fruits and vegetables and roots for you? Who will make your bed of straw, grasses, and all in forest? Life would be very difficult. So I have to come and I want to serve you. Please take me. Please give me an opportunity to serve." And we see Lakshman, he proved every word that he gave that time. Lakshman, it is said in Ramayana that 14 years when they stayed in the forest, Lakshman did not sleep for even one night. Every day, whole day, he would serve Mother Sita and Lord Ram selflessly. What was he getting in return? Did Ram pay him any salary? No. Out of pure love. We see Hanuman, how he took a great risk to go to Lanka, and he very tactfully went and found in the Ashoka Vatika, he found Mother Sita, and he did an extra service of destroying the Ashoka Vatika, the nice gardens of Ravana. He killed many demons and he set Lanka on fire and came back. And when he was coming back, this is a wonderful section in Ramayana explained very wonderfully that when Hanuman was flying back to southern part of India where Ram and his associates were waiting for the news whether Sita has been found or not. When Hanuman was coming, flying, he was thinking, how should I give this news to Lord Ram? Why? Because Lord Ram is sitting with extreme anxiety for finding his wife. And he's in deep sorrow and moroseness, and has been almost a year since Mother Sita was abducted. So he was in great pain, and Hanuman understood that. And Hanuman started thinking, how should I tell this news that I have found Mother Sita? So he first thought, should I say, I have found Mother Sita? So whenever the moment I speak I, Lord Ram would start thinking, I what? Did you find? Did you not find? Did you find Mother Sita dead? Then he thought, should I say, Mother Sita was found? And when Lord Ram first hears Mother Sita, he would anxiously start thinking, what happened to Mother Sita? Did you find? Did you not found? So then he considered that the main concern or the main thing that would pacify Lord Ram is she was found. And so Hanuman, while he was returning back, when he reached in front of Lord Ram, he said, found Sita I. All that is grammatically wrong, but it shows us how intense love and intense desire to serve and please makes us so sensitive that we act in a way to give pleasure to the person whom we love, whom we want to serve. So first thing he tells is found, and Lord Ram is happy that yes, she is found. Who? Sita. Who found? He keeps himself at the end. I. Insignificant. No, it doesn't matter. Found Sita. I. So that way, and many scholars and many great acharyas of Ramayana has written pages of commentary on these lines, these shlokas where Hanuman's love is depicted. And when Hanuman comes with this news, Lord Ram comes and hugs him, embraces him tightly, and says, "Oh Hanuman, I am so pleased with you. I'm so happy. You're my greatest well-wisher, my greatest friend, my beloved servant." Yes. And Lord Ram says, if I had been in Ayodhya as the king, I would have showered jewels and gold and silver, and I have given you the finest food and clothing. But my dear Hanuman, I don't have anything now. I'm living as a hermit in the forest. So all that I can give you is my hug. Yes. So now, my dear friends, how many of us would work for just a hug? Yes, obviously, if it is a hug of Lord Ram, many of us would seriously consider. But yes, we can understand in our day-to-day lives. Are we motivated by what we are getting in return? Are we always focusing on my personal enjoyment, or are we focusing on genuine service attitude? So thus, we get an idea as to what is the difference between lust and love. Lust basically, as I said, means selfish sense enjoyment. The focus is always on one's own pleasure, and it's insatiable. You cannot satisfy it. Srila Prabhupada gives example of a itch. Sometimes we get itch on our hands, and if you keep itching, you won't feel you feel like itching it, and you keep itching, and what happens? Does the itch go away? It becomes red, then blood comes out of it, and it becomes a mess. So that's how lust is. If we act on it, if we contemplate on it, if we work based on lust, it's going to aggravate and it's going to make our life hellish. Leads to degradation and open doors of hell. Yes. And in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells in second chapter how we get degraded. He tells, Dhayato Vishaya Pumsam Shangasteshu Pajayate Sangat Sanjayate Kama Kama Krodha Vijayate Krodhat Bhavati Sammoha Sammohat Smriti Vibhrama Smriti Bhamshat Buddhinasho Buddhinashat Pranashyati. It tells very stepwise. Dhayato Vishaya Pumsam. Vishaya means sense objects. Dhayato means contemplating. So when Ravana started thinking of Sita, that is the point when it starts. Dhayato Vishaya Pumsam. Sangasteshu Pajete. Whenever we think about uh, matters, or objects of sense enjoyment, we get the desire to associate with the objects of the senses. Dhayatu Vishayavamsam Shangasteshu Pajayate. Shangat Sanjayate Kama. Yes. Lust develops when a sense object is enjoyed by the senses. Sangat Sanjayate Kama, Kama Krodha Vijayate. When the lust is not fulfilled, when one is not able to enjoy, like Ravana, he kidnapped Mother Sita, but he could not do anything because he had cursed. He cannot force himself onto a woman. So Ravana had kept Sita as a prisoner, and he said, 1 year you make up your mind, you marry me, otherwise I'll cut you in my kitchen and eat you. Because he is a demon and a rakshas, he can eat human beings. So that's the condition that he had given to Mother Sita. And thus we see that because his lust was not satisfied, that turned into anger. Kama krodha vijayate. Krodhat bhavati sammoha. Sammoha smriti vibhrama. Sammoha means illusioned. Because of that anger, person becomes illusioned. And because of that illusion, smriti vibhrama. One forgets. One loses memory. Smriti bhamshat buddhinasha. One loses intelligence. Buddhinashat pranashyati. Although everybody gave good advice to Ravana, he was not ready to listen. Yes, he was not ready to listen at all. So, as we see what lust can do to us. Yes, and lust has both gross and subtle forms. The gross form is directly wanting to enjoy the sense objects, and the subtle form of lust is expecting name, fame, worship, respect, adoration. That is lust. So there are two forms acting all the time in our lives, and many a times we see that although we don't want, and we realize that this is a negative quality in our hearts, we really want to transcend this negative pullings, but still we become victims of lust. On the other hand, love, as we saw, it is said love means service, to serve. To love means to serve means to please. So when we say love, in Kali Yuga, in today's world, the nearest example or the closest example that we can get of love is by observing a mother's love to the child. And that is the most purest form of love that is left in today's world. If you go to Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, you would see all such wonderful qualities that we are discussing in Ramayana. But in today's world, it's very rare to find. But if you see a mother's love, the mother gets up in the middle of the night when the baby is crying to feed it or to change the diapers, or she's always thinking about the baby. And what does she get in return? Nothing. The baby is just passing stool and urine anywhere and always crying and asking for food. Yes, the baby smiles, so nice. And the mother is always on top of his heels to serve the baby selflessly. And that love can never be repaid. So that is real self-service. That is real selfless service. That is real love. So the focus is how we can make the other person happy, comfortable, So that's love. And that love, that feeling of love is fulfilling. The mother who's serving the child gets great happiness and satisfaction from the very fact that she has been able to make the child comfortable and happy. She is not getting anything in return for herself. And we as devotees or as practitioners of spiritual life, if we live by this principle and if we try to love God or love everybody who are part and parcel of God in this selfless attitude, then we'll be purified and elevated. As spirit souls, as we discussed before, our innate nature is to love and serve. Srila Prabhupada said, any genuine religion is the religion which would teach you how to love God. And that's what we have learned from Srila Prabhupada. That's what Bhagavad Gita is teaching us as souls. Jive Swarupai Krishna Nityadas. It is said that our eternal identity is to love and serve God. Yes? So, coming to the important part, I hope it's clear what is the difference between lust and love. So, coming to something that is practical. Yes, to our famous things to do slide. How many of you like the things to do? I just wanted a fair feedback. How many of you liked the things to do that we have discussed so far? Okay, I see many raised hands here. Wonderful. Thank you. I hope and pray, I pray to Krishna that I may share some things that can be really beneficial to all of you. So thank you for your response. Yeah, that's correct. Surendra is telling very difficult to follow all of them all of a sudden. Yes, it is not possible to follow all of them in 21 days challenge, but yes, this you can see as a first step. So there's always a first step, and we have to take the steps. Yes, correct. Okay, and today's things to do. Important. These are things that you have been introduced to already. The first thing, and this is a very powerful secret, my dear friends. Trust me, this has worked for many of us. Myself, my friends, many of my devotees whom I know, whom I have been associating with for last um, 10-15 years, you can say. I have been chanting Hare Krishna 16 rounds every day from 2008. So that has been almost 12 years now. So chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra that many of you are already doing every day without fail is a very important activity in our life. It is a meditation. It is a way to control mind. It is also a medicine which helps us become free from the anarthas which are there in our heart. So as I was quoting the other day from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings, he teaches the glory of chanting Hare Krishna, and he tells Cheto
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, your voice is not coming. You're muted. Uh-huh. Hare Krishna. Prabhu, you're muted, I think. Your voice is not coming. Hare Krishna. Message.
Can you hear me now or no?
Yeah, yes, Prabhu, we are able to hear, but from 1 minute, like from Cheto Darpan Marjan, after that, we are like voice got.
Okay. I think, uh, yeah, the Skype muted me automatically because of sound. Now is it clear?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. So yes, in that verse, Cheto Darpana Marjanam, the first thing that is told is our heart is compared to mirror, and the mirror sometimes collects dust. The dust is the anarthas, and lust is one of the anarthas. There are 6 anarthas explained in the Shastras. You know? Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Mad, Matsarya. So lust, anger, envy, greed, pride, illusion. These are the 6 anarthas which are there in our heart. These are the dirts accumulated for many, many lifetimes. Veena is telling, we can't hear you. I just want to hear who can hear, who cannot. I see many of you are telling you can hear. Yeah. Veena, can you still not hear me? Should I speak louder or you have to turn on your volume? Okay. I see many of you telling that you can hear me. Okay. So yes, so what I was telling is an important thing, that Hare Krishna Mahamantra chanting every day, meditation in the morning, just like uh, at night when our mobile batteries are down, we charge it. So every day morning we should get up and charge ourselves with positivity, and that would help us replace the negativity that's there in our heart. Because of many, many lifetimes, we have been not practicing uh, a life free from negative qualities. Those negative qualities have got accumulated and has affected us and has become like a covering of dust to the mirror of our hearts. And that is why we cannot see everything in the right perspective. We cannot see ourselves as spirit soul. Yes, we just see ourselves as the body. So the more we attentively chant every day as a practice, as a habit, the more we will realize how these propensities, the negative qualities, gradually leave us. The example is given that when in the forest, the lion roars loudly, oh, then from all the trees, the birds getting afraid, they fly away. Similarly, when this sound of Hare Krishna Mahamantra enters through the ears, reaches to our heart, all the birds of negative qualities from our heart would flow away. And in this regard, I would like to let you know a very important thing. Please uh, be attentive, and this is important. Many of you have got to know chanting every day, and I have come to know that many of you are chanting for various timings. Now, what we do, those of us who are chanting for a long time, and you would have heard that we say we chant so many rounds. So, if you're not clear, just to iterate, we chant on beads, and this whole beads contains 108 beads. So 108 times when we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This mantra, when we repeat 108 times, that makes one round. Initially, those who start, generally it takes 8 to 10 minutes to chant one round. And that is something that you can do every day in the morning. One round. You can count on your fingers. Yes, 108. Or if you have a counter at home, or if you have nearby shop, you can buy a counter, or you can count on your hands. Or if you have a bead with you, best. It is very easy. You have to keep counting the bead and chant Hare Krishna in one bead, go to the next and chant the other mantra in the next bead. That way, you can chant in rounds, you can keep count. And what is the important part of my announcement here is, let me quickly share something that's important. So from our ISKCON Cultural Center, because of the COVID situation, we have taken up an initiative of chanting 108 crore Hare Krishna Mahamantras. And this is for the welfare. This is like a prayer, a united prayer for everybody who's affected by COVID across the world, not just people who are practicing spirituality, but everybody, all of humanity. So this we are doing as a Japa Yagya. This is a Japa Yagya campaign. And all of you who have been participating in these programs, I would encourage all of you, please keep a count of the number of rounds that you are chanting. And at the end of 21 day seminar, let us know how many rounds you have chanted throughout 21 days. and that would get added and contributed to this count of 108 crore Mahamantras. So this is a very special and auspicious time of Chaturmasya, July 15th to November 25th. Please make your contributions. Please keep a count of the number of rounds that you are chanting. And at the end, please communicate to us so that we will count, we will include your count in the total count. Yes. And this we are doing as a prayer, as an offering to all those people who are suffering from corona, who have been affected, and who I mean, it's a prayer for everybody to stay safe and protected. So please do participate. All of you who are chanting, all of you are not chanting, please start. All of you are chanting. Keep count. 108 equals to 1 round. Many of us chant 8 rounds. Many of us chant 16 rounds. I chant 16 rounds. It takes approximately 2 hours. So I get up early in the morning and finish my everyday practice of 2 hours of chanting. That way it helps me and is the time. Based on your preference and timing, please chant the rounds and share the count with us. Okay. Coming to quickly the other two. The other two are live in mode of goodness and lead God-centric life. Now, while living in mode of goodness, obviously this is another big topic, but the mode of goodness is important because in the mode of goodness, we come out of selfish thoughts and we come out of passionate or ignorant. So there are 3 modes of nature which is explained in Bhagavad Gita. Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. And mode of goodness means Sattva Guna. The other two, Rajas and Tamas, they are mode of passion and ignorance. When somebody is the mode of passion and ignorance, they are very easily victimized. They are very susceptible to lust. And the feelings of love does not arise if you don't consciously choose to stay in the mode of goodness. Now, how do we stay in mode of goodness? To give you a brief, we can choose the mode of goodness through the food we eat, the clothes we wear, the place we stay, the practices throughout the day, everything. For example, if we are always eating freshly cooked food, as stated in Bhagavad Gita, it is explained, which are the foods which are not very spicy and very old, kept in refrigerator kind of food, fresh, healthy, vegetarian diet is in mode of goodness, something that can be offered to the Lord that we eat. That's in mode of goodness. Clothes, we everyday wear washed clothes. The clothes in which we sleep are in mode of ignorance, and that can affect us, make us more passionate and more lusty. And other ways, getting up early in the morning, in those times practicing meditation, that helps us, that sets the tone for the day. That is life in mode of goodness. And it's a very vast topic. We will take it up in more details and further, but just to give you a heads up, to live in mode of goodness is important. And 3, leading a God-centric life. You see, my dear friends, we will be less exploitative and we will be less selfish when we acknowledge that God is someone who's giving us everything without expecting anything in return. You see, there are many of the people in the world who say God does not exist. I don't believe in God. Yes, but God still provides for them. Yes. So thus, we have to learn to love God and place God, Krishna, in the center of our lives. And around that, we have to understand that Krishna has given me this home to stay, and I should use this place for the service of Krishna. Krishna has given me a wonderful family, my parents, my wife, my kids. Krishna has given me. So how should I live with them? Should I be under the influence of lust and always try to enjoy and think of my own sense gratification all the time? Or it is my duty and responsibility to serve them? Yes. So that is how consciously, if we at every stage put Krishna at the center, then our lives will be free from lust and full of love. And all our relationships, when based on love, it is more fulfilling. Yes. If everybody is bothered about their own enjoyment, then you will see many circles being drawn with intersections. My enjoyment, another person also thinks my enjoyment, and the circles keep intersecting. But if we have only one center, concentric circles, there is no intersection point. Everybody is in harmony and sync. So I'll come to a conclusion now here, but we are not yet done for the day. We have very special guest speakers for today. And Srinivas sir, are you there with us? Okay, yes, Srinivas sir is there with us.
Yes, you can hear us, Arjuna?
Yes,
Okay.
we can hear you. Can be a bit louder, but yeah. So let me quickly give a brief introduction about Srinivas sir and his good wife Renu ma'am. Srinivas sir was born in Kerala and he was brought up in Mumbai. He has completed his graduation in chemistry from Mumbai University. His parents and sister are still in Mumbai, but he shifted to Bangalore in 2008. He has a total experience of 20 plus years in the corporate world, and he has been playing different roles, starting from a developer, team leader, project coordinator, project manager in various big companies like ICICI Infotech, Accenture, HP, and currently he's working with Micro Focus. So he has been a, a leader leading very big teams in the corporate world. And apart from that, he's also a wonderful devotee, a spiritual practitioner. He has been practicing Krishna consciousness for last 10 years. And he has been initiated into our parampara. He has accepted his guru as Sri Radhanath Swami Maharaj in the year 2019. He is chanting 16 rounds for a long time. And his wife also, we have a wonderful example in front of us. Renu ma'am, she has been born and brought up in Mumbai, graduated in commerce from Mumbai University, and later she completed her PGDBA and CIB. She's a banker by profession. She works with Punjab National Bank. There's a long experience there. She was introduced to spirituality in year 2000, and then she has been practicing and chanting Hare Krishna 16 rounds for a long time. Both of them are married for past 16 years, and they have a wonderful daughter, Shreya. I think she could not join us today, but they have a wonderful daughter, Shreya, who's studying in 9th standard. She is also chanting Hare Krishna every day. And why I invited them today is to see how in their lives they are practicing spirituality, which is helping them build and maintain and sustain lasting relationship with keeping Krishna at the center. So thank you so much, Srinivas sir and Renu ma'am, for joining us today. Over to you.
Hare Krishna to all. I hope I'm loud and clear.
Yes, Pradeep.
Okay. So first of all, I wanted to thank all the participants and participants that are there in this session, and appreciate they spending the time here, their valuable time to hearing such wonderful topics, in which I think our today's topic is on relationships. And yeah, so to begin with, I wanted to touch upon one aspect of before I get into how taking up spirituality on all these aspects that help our lives. A few points I wanted to discuss quickly. So what makes an unsteady relationship, right? And how to make it steady. Now, if I give an example, take two countries. They join hands, they share hands, they kind of come together if they're sharing when they're sharing a common enemy, right? What happens is when their objective is attained, eventually the mutual differences between these two countries will rise up. And what happens is these relationships will die down. Yeah, and it may so happen that these countries start fighting with each other who earlier shared, joined hands, right? Similarly, in human relationships also, if the relationship is based on extrinsic or external qualities, as was earlier in those countries aspect, if it is based on looks or finances, though there might be some, this might last some for some time, there might be some gains, but these are temporary ones. Eventually these die down, these wane away or fade away, right? But what matters is the values that that are shared in such relationships. So there are many values that are shared in a relationship, but the most important one is the spiritual values that we share in any relationship, for that matter. Since we are here addressing you, it doesn't mean that other relationships are not important, but I'm talking in general. Yeah. So spiritual values help us sustain relationships further. Now, spiritual values are, actually give us a more defined way and also a focused way of enduring that relationship. Now, even if some of you all might know, in our earlier times, marriages were done within the same caste. Externally it might look that there are some hidden agenda and all those things, but the underlying principle was that these castes shared some values, and if the marriages happen in that particular same caste or something, they share the same values, and it is easier to have a sustaining and a longer relationship, especially in a grihastha ashram, right? So, but now over a period of so-called globalization, or the so-called advancement or urbanization, these things have got diluted. Yeah, if I may say in a lighter part, the values are no more existing. People don't value these values, but though the underlying principle is still there, where any relationship will have certain values, but the most important value is the spiritual values. That helps in having a sustainable and a longer relationship. I think we also have heard about, maybe Sanbaran sir had addressed that particular aspect of, if we if there is a drop or a stone in water, there are ripples created, and these are concentric circles. But if you throw two stones, there are circles which clash with each other. Now, if you look at it in a family perspective, if there are 4 members or 5 members or 6 members, and each having their own thought process, right? What happens? They have their individual stones being dropped in the water, and these thoughts, sometime and other times, some or any other time, might clash with each other. Now, instead of that, if I drop one stone, it creates concentric circles, rings, without clashing anywhere. What does that mean? How do we see that in a family perspective or a relationship perspective? If the family is centered around a particular single purpose or an object, it is impossible that there will be clashes, because as a single stone is dropped, there will be concentric rings, which means there are no clashes. Similarly, in a family, if there are spiritual values around which the entire family is centered, the relationships are lasting longer. Though there might be situations. Now, if I talk in, okay, to give an addition to that, even in Bhagavad Gita chapter 10, Krishna, chapter 10, number 9, verse number 9, Krishna also says, Krishna, when explaining to Arjuna, he says, Machitta Madgada Prana Bodhayanta Paraspara. Kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanticha ramanticha. What does that mean? Those people who have their thoughts centered around me, those who take delight in talking about me, in talking about the praises and the pastimes of Krishna, and on top of that, those who take pleasure in sharing that with others also. What does that mean? Simple fact, in a family or in a relationship, when we have the Supreme Lord Krishna with all the spiritual values centered around our life, and we share with each other, and not only within the family, we also share with our relatives, our near and dear ones. we share a very good platform. We share a very blissful relationship. Now, coming to our aspect of in our life, we also have, as like others would have had, we also have had our husbands, so-called strained relationship, or there were times where we had to, sleepless nights spent pondering our issues and all those small nitty-gritty issues which were there. We also have had that share of our experience. But once we took up this process, after associating with devotees, after hearing and reading the scriptures, especially if it is Bhagavad Gita, which gives us the philosophy of life, right? And Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, which tells us how to live this life, how to live. And there are multiple pastimes, and I think one or two pastimes Sanbaran who also touched upon in the earlier sessions, and maybe other devotees also would have touched upon. There are many pastimes in Srimad Bhagavatam which we can, as a family, as an individual, collectively can understand and share and contemplate and implement in our life. These pastimes are basically incidents that have happened, and also the outcome of those incidents, whether good or bad. So those examples we can take and impact. Now, especially in our life, once we took up the process, as Sanbaran who said, almost 10 years back, we started associating with devotees. We started we started reading scriptures, reading these pastimes, and started relating to those, those strained times, those stressed up times, and we understood that how we should have dealt with that. And what happened was, as months, years passed by, when such situations came by again, we recollected those pastimes, instances, contemplated, both of us. When I mean strained relationship, it's not only with others, but between us also. There were differences, and it's human to have differences. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't have fight. There are bound to be fights in a family, in a Grihastha life, right? But the point is, there is a balance that has to be struck. Whether this we have understood, we have practiced over a period of time. How we balance that relationship, how we respect each other, how we respect the entire value system that we are basing our life around. That's very important. I think two other points which Sanbaran sir also had touched upon was living in the mood of goodness and living a God-centric life. I wanted to put some points as one aspect on that. These two are very important aspects of any individual, whether in a Grihastha, individually dealing with any person, whether in your office, whether within your relatives. We act in three ways, right? Manasa, Vacha, and Kaya. Now, if I look at mode of goodness, Manasa, a simple point is your thoughts, right? How good are your thoughts? Your thoughts in the mode of goodness. How good you think about others, right? How do you think ill about others? Or how you refrain yourself from thinking ill about others, right? That is Manasa. Vacha is by speech. So what we are trying to do is we try to practice that by our speech, we do not hurt anybody's feelings, right? Because an arrow left from the bow and words left from the mouth cannot be taken back, right? So it's very important we measure, we understand what we speak, right? Third aspect is Kaya. This is basically keeping ourselves clean, so that our mind is also good, pure thoughts. The second aspect where we spoke about is God-centric life, living a God-centric life. Again, if you split that into this Manasa, Vacha, and Kaya. Manasa, God-centric life, our, what thoughts do we think about Krishna? Do we, do we talk about, what are the thoughts that come upon? Are we focused upon God? Second is Vacha, hearing and speaking about the pastimes of the Lord. Third is Kaya, where how we engage our body in serving the Lord. In our house we have a small altar, we have small installed deities where we perform our arati, we offer them bhoga, and that is the prasadam that we always consume. So these are some of the practice that we imbibe. We started imbibing in our life, and believe me, it has worked. It has made wonders. Last but not the least, as Sanbaran sir also had said, chanting of Mahamantra. There is nothing second to that. When we chant early in the morning, we all know that the day is divided into goodness, passion, and ignorance. If we get into traffic, morning times there is less traffic, right? So which means when we chant morning, and we have experienced that, and all the devotees who are chanting, all of maybe you all who are chanting, if you do the chanting in the Brahma Muhurta, the early morning time, which is the mode of goodness, believe me, past that, when you chant, if your thoughts are disturbing you, that is the time, when no thoughts can disturb you and you can focus your mind on chanting the Mahamantra. Yeah. But this Mahamantra helps one in purifying, cleansing the thoughts. All these aspects that we spoke about, the Mahamantra can augment, can act as a catalyst to, advance yourself in your spiritual practice. And obviously, when we're talking about relationships, this aspect of spiritual values will help you build a stronger, lasting, and sustainable relationship. Hare Krishna. You want to add?
Do I have 5 to 10 minutes, Sanbaran sir?
Sure. Yes,
Okay.
why not? We are all eager to hear from you as well.
Hare Krishna, dear friends. Very happy to see that so many of them are there here on a Saturday evening with Sanbaran sir joining the call. I really appreciate your endeavors. Okay, I will not pull on this further. I just want to, we'll just start with a small story. It's a very, I think most of them, they can relate to it. Even if it need not be, they are only married couples can relate, but it's a famous character story which everybody would have heard at some point of their life and would have come across either through some of the serials or by virtue of reading somewhere, or somewhere in life you will also come across these two characters. This is a story about two famous characters, that is Sas and Bahu, the famous mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. So in our story, we have Leelavati, who's a mother-in-law, and Nandini, who's a newly married daughter-in-law. Now, what happens? Everybody can just guess what just happens everywhere. Usually, in at least in 80% of the cases, we have always heard it. Now, the daughter-in-law goes into the new family setup, and she is not able to adjust with the mother-in-law's whims and fancies, because again, like Sanbaran sir told, and even Srinivas sir told, there is a lot of difference, and there is different centric approach. So that so happens, Nandini is trying to get along with her mother-in-law, but both of them are not able to. Finally, Nandini gets so upset, and she just wants to give up being there, or just give up her mother-in-law. So we always have somebody with whom we confide our problems. So she goes back, and other than her parents, she used to always confide everything of her life in one uncle. Her uncle is Atmaram uncle. So he's also a well-wisher, and he's a Vaidya by profession. So she starts crying and sobbing and telling uncle, this is what I'm facing in life. I just don't want my mother-in-law, don't want to be there. It's blah 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 blah. The whole story starts, and uncle gives a patient ear and tells, you don't worry, my daughter. I have a solution by which you can get rid of your present situation with your mother-in-law once and forever. Now Nandini is happy. What is uncle going to tell me? Then he goes and gets one bottle, a small bottle. It's a concentrate, and he tells, this is a slow acting poison. Just add one drop of this poison to the milk and give it to your mother-in-law every day. That's a big task for Nandini. She doesn't want to look at her mother-in-law, so why will she go and give milk to her every day? So then what she decides, okay, anyway, she wants to come out of the situation. That was more important for her. forget about how to. Then she plans her own way on the way back home. And when she meets her mother-in-law, she tells, slowly she will start approaching her and telling that, she tells her, see, now you're growing old and your bones will also weaken. So you need to drink milk every day. I will give you a glass of milk. Would you mind drinking? Suddenly, this mother-in-law is very doubtful. What happened to my daughter-in-law? All of a sudden. Anyway, she's wanting to do something for me. Let me accept it. So, like how Uncle Atmaram uncle told Nandini, with full of vicious thoughts for mother-in-law, and that she gets rid. For 1 month, uncle had told that she has to give it to mother-in-law. Every day, drop by drop, she will add in the milk, and before the mother-in-law goes to rest, she gives this hot milk to mother-in-law, just praying and counting down that the days will come down. And also now to give this milk itself, she had to act that she is very favorable to her mother-in-law. So slowly she started acting, and it so became a part of her life. And it was the more than acting, she started getting into the reality of who she is, and the relationships started improving, because her mother-in-law felt, oh, my daughter-in-law is so nice, and she was the best daughter-in-law in the whole world. And even she started reciprocating in that way. Slowly, around 15 to 20 or 28 days down the line, the bonding between them had so much, it had grown, and it was like they could not feel that they had such so much rift in the relationship earlier. Then, by the time it was 28th day, Nandini really started crying. She told, my mother-in-law is so nice. Why did I feel that she's such a bad human? Most of the most of them we have communicated, and we have sorted out the issues. And now I am really feeling repentant that I am going to kill her. Another 2 days, uncle told. Hare Krishna. Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes.
So another 2 days are only there, and my mother-in-law will not be there on this in this world. I cannot, I cannot bear this. She again runs to uncle and tells, Uncle, do something for me. I don't that poison. Can you do something counter-effective so that the poison does not work and my mother-in-law leaves? Then suddenly uncle asks, now what happened? Then he tells, no, we have sorted out all the relationships, and now my mother-in-law likes me very much. I also like her. I don't want her to die, and that was a poison from my hand. How can I bear it? Then uncle tells, my dear Nandini, what you have done, I have given you only normal some calcium, some might be iron drops, which has also boosted her health. But what you have done is you have invested in your relationship with your mother-in-law. My dear friends, this is what I would like to bring out from this small story. This investing in relationships is such an important aspect of our life. And that's what myself and Srinivas sir has taken as a key point to our married life. First is our investing in our relationship with Krishna. And when we invest our relationship with Krishna, he guides us as to how we can invest this relationship with anyone. May it be our parents, our in-laws, friends, colleagues, and so many daughters, or so many type of people we come across. Unless we invest in a relationship, you can neither receive nor give. It won't come from the heart. And I'm not telling receiving and giving is just giving or receiving material gifts, or giving material gifts. What I mean to say is that emotional bonding, like how we heard in the story, it's a bonding that is created. Once we have invested in a relationship, a bond gets created, and that will help us to really work out in any situation in life. So, like how Srinivasa was saying, investing in relationship with Krishna is by daily practice of sadhana. Sanbaran sir told that we are initiated in the moment by a spiritual master. So we take up the chanting of the holy name Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, which Sanbaran Prabhu just told some time back, and I'm sure many of them are also doing it. So this chanting of the holy names, then reading the scriptures, Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, and also hearing from great souls. These are the key and vital points that have really helped us and to also in working in our relationships with each other, and at the same time as a part of service to the society. We have been guiding young couples who have had rifts in their relationships, and because of this guidance which we have received, we are able to guide many young uh, couples also in the same matter. But of course, there are many other things, aspects that come into that. But the main key, what we have taken up, is investing in a relationship. It really makes wonders, really, my friends. Also, I would like to say, just to elaborate on this aspect, like Sanbaran sir was saying, that we have to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and also read, like Srinivas sir was saying about reading of the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Uh, I just want to elaborate a bit on this point, why we fall back, because in when we come to any situation in life, whether it is conflicts, envious situation by colleagues, or jealousy we are finding, or any sort of enmity we feel that somebody is having, everything has a solution when we relate to our scriptures. So that's a very important point, that we have to take shelter. And why do we there is some scriptural point also behind this. I just came across in the teachings of Rishabh Dev in Srimad Bhagavatam. Our Acharya, one of the topmost Acharya, Srila Rupa Goswami, in his book, this Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, he quotes one shloka, if you don't mind, just 2 minutes. It is Shruti Smriti Puranadi Pancharatrika Vidim Vina Aikantiki Harer Bhaktir Utpaityaiva Kalpate. What does this shloka mean? Srila Rupa Goswami says that we all humans, we are supposed to follow the instructions from the Shruti and Smriti, that is the Vedic literature, and when this is applied in our daily life, it is nothing else other than worshipping Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, and that is as per the Pancharatrika Vidi. So what either Sanbaran sir is saying, or what we are trying to say is, I just wanted to, when I came across these words, I thought it is much in line to what we are speaking, and that again is quoted in Srimad Bhagavatam. So this way, in every situation of life, these books and the guidance from spiritual master and devotees, and also many of them like Sanbaran sir, who are putting a very good initiative. These are really helpful. I would just uh, request you all, just take shelter in chanting the holy names of the Lord. It really creates a lot of difference in our approach of life, and that's how we have that experience we have gone through, and that's what we would like to share with you, so that you also invest in your relationships with everyone, and lead a very Krishna-centric life in whichever ashram you are. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Srinivas Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Mataji, Hare Krishna. It's just, we need such wonderful examples like you to realize what we discuss. So when we have practical examples in front of us, it becomes easier for us to follow. So thank you so much for being with us today, taking out your time. Okay, so those of you who are still here with us, I would like to open it up to you for any questions or comments or anything that you would like to ask. This is the end of relationships. 3 days. I know it's a big and ongoing topic. It's something that takes years to master, but yes, we have taken our first step and we have discussed what is important, and we have learned some tips and tricks which we can start following. So if you have any specific questions or you want to discuss, you can stay back, and if you want, you can unmute and open your video and talk to us. It is quite difficult because I don't know any of you by face and I have not heard your voice. So the relationship is pretty impersonal. So if you want to ask, otherwise we can close for the day. Any of you would like to speak something or discuss something? Hare Krishna. Surendra, I can see you. Yes, Hare Krishna. Darshan is asking, can you explain about the number of count of chanting? So just to reiterate, we have 108 times that we chant, which makes one round. So what we do is, when we chant on our beads, so this is my beads. So these beads have 108 beads in total. And in one bead, I chant one Hare Krishna Mahamantra once. So when I chant, I'll chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Then I move on to the next beat. Again chant one mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So I keep chanting through the whole bead, and I cross, and then in the whole circle I come back. That makes 108. This is just a tool to keep the count. You can keep the count on fingers as well if you can count till 108. 108 is an auspicious number. It's the recommended number in the scriptures. So we chant 108 times. That makes one round. So because we go one round in these beads, we call it one round. And the prescribed number of rounds is 16 for especially those who are initiated. So it's up to you how much time you can allot every day for your meditation in the morning. We started with 1 or 2 rounds, and gradually when we got the benefit of chanting, we increased. Is that clear, Darshan? Okay. Thank you very much. Any other questions? Anybody would like to unmute or come online and ask? Tomorrow onwards, next 3 days, we are going to discuss on leadership, another important thing. And I'll come up with various other discussions, some qualities that we need to become a powerful leader. So please stay tuned. Please join us. Abhishek Prabhu, Saurabh Prabhu, tomorrow we have the session at 6 o'clock. Is that correct? I think there's no change in time.
Yeah.
Okay. So tomorrow we'll have our session at 6 o'clock in the evening. Please join us. It's on leadership. Very important. Many of us get into leadership roles without knowing much. It'll help you surely. I'll prepare some materials which should be helpful for you. Okay, I don't see any other questions coming in. So thank you so much. I think you're happy with the sessions on relationship. Please share your feedback on the Telegram group, and I'll be happy to hear. Stay in touch with your mentors, and they'll be helping you, hand-holding you in your journey of spirituality and your application of principles in terms of relationship. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Srinivas Prabhu, Renu Mataji, thank you so much for joining again. So yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.